If I was only given 120 seconds to teach to you the most important aspects of classism, there would be no more important thoughts, in my humble opinion, than the following. Start the clock. You know what's worse than racism? Classism. Have you ever wondered how people were treated before Samuel Morton put a name to what most people currently believe is completely natural? Race. Before race was legitimized and quantified, how were people who looked differently than the ruling class treated? Classism is the strong foundation that maintains and legitimizes established biases, systems, the status quo in the United States. Pre-racism, people weren't judged upon their looks, their physical characteristics, the color of their skin. Pre-racism, the most important metric that determined how you were treated, that determined your status in society, was your social class. The history of the United States is one that involves colonization, slavery, and heavy use of social and racial stratification. Wealth was established by the extremely privileged through methods of exploitation and the extraction of labor through chattel slavery, indentured servitude, mass incarceration, and low-wage service jobs. Because of this, a considerable power gap / wealth gap exists. Major corporations receive little to no regulation. Classism is differential treatment based on social class or perceived social class. It's the systemic oppression of subordinated class groups to advantage and strengthen the dominant class group. The origins of classism can be traced back to the dawn of written history. There has always been a time when someone wanted to be better than someone else. First, class was originally determined by nobility. You were either born into royalty or a member of another social class with established economic or social power. The problem with classism is people are treated in different manners because of perceived class. Classism isn't comparable to other forms of oppression, as it's the foundation of the other isms. Classism is reflected in the attitudes and actions of people. Classism is reflected in the policies and practices of various establishments, as well as the customs and principles of culture. Classism allows for the generalization, typecasting, and stereotyping of people. For example, all poor people are lazy. Classism divides and separates people, placing them in categories of rich and poor. It allows for preconceived notions to form against certain classes of people. Upper class is perceived as smart or more eloquent than the middle or lower class. Classism allows for those on the higher end to dictate to others. It's considered normal and acceptable behavior. It's so pervasive that the higher social class manages and directs the lives of others without ever having interacted with them. Americans protest against repressive regimes that concentrate massive wealth in the hands of a few elite. But in the United States of America, 1% of the people control 25% of the nation's income. The super wealthy controls 50.1% of all wealth in America. The hypocrisy of the United States is laughable if it wasn't so indicting. 35% of Black and Latinx are living at or under poverty. Blacks are incarcerated at 5 times the rate of whites. Higher proportion of those in poverty are incarcerated. Higher proportion of blacks are in poverty. Higher proportion of blacks are incarcerated. Poverty correlates with incidents of mental health disorders, substance abuse, experiences of trauma, lack of education, less stable family structures, and of course, this maintains classism. Racism is the mechanism by which classism enables and justifies itself. White America is also victimized by classism. Many white Americans live in poverty. Despite possessing the majority of wealth in the United States, the majority of the American lower class is white. The majority of the American prison population is white. However, the lower class white person still has more opportunities available to them than people of color due to the society's fixation on skin color. Did you know, because of classism, European immigrants weren't considered white when they migrated to the United States? They were classified as ethnic, a lesser sub-race. However, as white supremacy grew, instead of deconstructing white supremacy, these same ethnic groups were exhilarated in their mobility within the classism to become white. Immigrant groups strive to become white. It's still happening today, as Arabs and Iranians have been the new immigrant group to be considered white. Never mind in 1891, 11 Italians were lynched in New Orleans due to white supremacy. Today, everyone considers Italians white. When the Irish became a major demographic group taking over police enforcement, firefighting, and other civil service positions, they graduated into whiteness. That's right, the palest of white people, the Irish, during the origins of white supremacy, weren't considered white. How crazy is that? And we still, to this day, give race credence. It was after World War II that whiteness expanded to include all people of predominant European descent, as well as people from the Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia. It's why theblackteacher.com started our first lesson with the lie that is race. This and much more is discussed by theblackteacher.com. This lesson is available for only $9.06 at theblackteacher.com. Go to theblackteacher.com, click Enroll Now, and download the course World Pre-Racism. For the price of one movie ticket, you can receive a private education for public families. A family that learns together stays together. Generational wealth begins with knowledge and education. We are theblackteacher.com. Let the learning begin.